Hello and welcome to Nuan Presents The Outside View, powered by Felopia. I'm S. Sudarshanan and with me is Snehal Pradhan. In the fourth T20I, India downed South Africa by 51 runs to clinch the series 2-0. With one more game to go, it remains to be seen if India can complete a clean series victory. But the fourth T20I belonged to the spinners and South Africa's woes with respect to spins continues.
Yeah, and on a pitch like this, which is taking turn, we saw one more ball from Deepti, which got Tasman Brits out. Bowled, that one turned quite a lot. So even the finger spinners are getting turned. The wrist spinner, Poonam Yadav, also getting turned. And South Africa have a young team. They have a few players who play spin traditionally really well. Dane van Niekerk is great at using her feet. She's missing on this tour, so that is a big blow in the batting department as well as the bowling department. She would have been very effective on these pitches. So with the young batting side that they have, it's not surprising that they're struggling so much because it's hard to replicate these kind of conditions. The South African coach was talking about how they train for spin, preparing spinning pitches in South Africa, but this is the real deal. This is India, and we got a taste of how they will struggle so far, and I don't see the third T20 playing out any different.
Yeah, while we are on the topic of spin, if you are troubled by the unexpected, it's understandable. But South Africa are known to be weak against spin. They were expected to face trial against spin and yet they are failing against it horribly.
I think it's all about the bowlers that you come up against rather than the conditions. If you have a good bowler in your side, that bowler can cause you trouble even on a good batting pitch. But if you have bowlers of the quality of Radha Yadav, Poonam Yadav and Deepti Sharma, you can't replicate them in your net sessions. No matter who you bring in, your own spinners are young. Laba is just on her first tour to India. Shangase was left out in this match. So they went in with one spinner less, showing that they don't have that much resources in terms of spinners. So it matters which bowlers you face in the nets. If you don't have bowlers of the same quality, no matter how much of a spinning track you prepare, the preparation will not be the same.
While we are at the topic of bowlers, bowlers can seldom do much if your fielders don't help you. And South Africa weren't aided by their fielders.
Yeah, I know. I mean, 5 catches in the power play going down was something extraordinary in international cricket. I don't think I've seen anything like it. I put it down essentially to the crowd factor. Sune, Luus and Hilton Moreng made no excuses after the match that they should have taken those catches, but it's very difficult when you have a crowd of 15,000 shouting, screaming as soon as the ball goes up, and sometimes with the crowd like this, you can't even hear the sound of the ball off the bat clearly. So even when you hear a sound, you know how well the shot has been connected and you place yourself accordingly. If you can't hear that sound clearly, it causes you that split second delay. Plus there is the pressure of knowing that if you drop it, there are 15,000 people who are going to be cheering for you to drop more, and then that fear comes into the mind of the other fielders also, and then it spreads. They say that in fielding, attitude is infectious, and if one person gets that attitude, that little bit of fear, it just translates to the entire team. It's a bad day at the office for South Africa. I'm sure this is also going to be something they're going to prepare for. They don't get to play a lot under lights. Lights is going to be a factor. So yeah, I feel bad for the bowlers.
You mentioned crowd, but leave the crowd aside and your practice sessions are almost similar to the match situations. There are lights, there are high catches, you practice catching under lights. Yet what is that factor that differs a practice session and a match?
Well, firstly, in a practice session, you know it doesn't count. Even if you drop a catch and don't take that wicket, you just go to the back of the line and get in to face the next ball. So some coaches, what they do is they put penalties in practice sessions. If you drop a catch, you have to do 10 push-ups. If you drop a catch, you have to do set number of laps to simulate pressure. Also, Heather Knight was in India earlier this year, and we were asking her similar questions because there was a crowd in Guwahati as well. And she said that sometimes they'll play very loud music during training just to simulate that feeling of noise. So these are things which you try to simulate as much as possible. You simulate pressure in training, you simulate noise in training, but then a match is a match. What the coach was saying, Hilton Moreng, is that the more these players play, the better they will get, and there is no substitute for a young team to gain match experience. I'm sure South Africa are going to benefit from this going forward.
That is about South Africa. But coming to India, do you think their batting problems have been rectified enough?
Now, this is a difficult one because the pitch isn't a good batting pitch. So, you have to look at the score in terms of what is a good score on this pitch. And I think in this case, the Indian batting unit has actually done really well. It helps that the South African team had gone in with 4 pace bowling options. So, you have a lot of pace on the ball and they were bowling the fuller length. So, you could get under the ball and hit over the infield. I think India were lucky not just in terms of the catches that were dropped, but also the composition of the South African side and the lengths they bowled. And which is why I think 140 in 17 overs on this pitch was a really good score. You can see that in the margin of the victory, 51 runs. But at the same time, on a good pitch, when the opposition batting is just going to take advantage of that pitch as well, whether these kind of scores, these kind of scoring rates are enough against better bowlers, those are questions that still remain to be answered. This South African team is young. They haven't been testing India as much as a full strength South Africa would. So I think there are, like Harmanpreet said at the press conference, she's not happy with the batting effort. And I loved that after the game, Harmanpreet and the coach were out in the middle checking out the pitch for the 5th and final T20I. So this team is not getting satisfied even with the big win. They're looking ahead. They want to know what's next. And I love that.